Where did you attend high school?
On the advice of my attorney, I refuse to answer that question based on the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution.
What is the name of your father?
On the advice of my attorney, I refuse to answer that question based on the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution.
What is your mother's name?
On the advice of my attorney, I refuse to answer that question based on the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution.
Kristen Smart was the first child of Stan and Denise Smart. She was born in Augsburg, Germany, where her parents were teaching children of military personnel. She had a brother and a sister whom she loved dearly. As a child, she moved with her family to Stockton, California, where she attended and graduated high school. She was also described as a girl who loved adventure in waters, traveling the world to London, Venezuela, and other locations during her summer breaks. Her favorite summer was at Camp Mokulea in Hawaii, where she worked as a lifeguard and camp counselor. In 1996, she was accepted and enrolled in California Polytechnic State University in San Luis Obispo, California. Things would take a turn for the worst on Memorial Day weekend in May of 1996. On the night of May 24th, Kristen and 3 other friends left their dorms to attend an unofficial fraternity party taking place on campus around 8:30 p.m. They ended up catching a ride. However, Kristen's friends did not want to attend anymore, so they dropped Kristen a couple blocks from the party. Fast forward to 2 a.m. The party is now coming to an end, and Tim Davis, a senior at the college who hosted the party, was shooing everybody out the door until he noticed a tall girl laying on the neighbor's lawn. The girl was Kristen Smart. She appeared to be passed out, so he walked over to her and woke her up, but it became apparent that she was in no condition to walk home alone. Davis and his friend Cheryl Anderson began walking her back to her dorm until another student, Paul Flores, offered to walk with them. Tim Davis left first as he lived off campus and drove himself to the party. Cheryl Anderson then left as she approached her dorm and figured Paul lived closer to Kristen's dorm anyway, leaving Kristen and Paul walking together. And that was the last anyone had seen or heard from Kristen Smart. 2 days later, on May 26th, Kristen's roommate Jennifer Phipps called the police and reported Kristen missing. For whatever reason, the campus police did not believe Kristen's disappearance to be suspicious, as students can still be gone after Memorial Weekend. On May 28th, campus investigators learned the last person known to have seen Kristen was Paul Flores and decided to interview him. He initially denied knowing Kristen at first, but then told investigators that he did see her at the party and walked her to another dorm rather than her own dorm, as he promised he would do.
I walked with her to where the driveway was, and I went up to my dorm because the walkway goes that way towards my dorm, and then she started walking that way.
2 days later, on May 30th, they brought Paul back in for questioning and noticed he had a black eye, scratches on his hand, and what appeared to be rug burns on his knees. He told them he received a black eye while attending a pickup baseball game the day before. Searches on campus began to take place for the 6'1" blonde Kristen Smart while searching her dorm. On June 10th, campus police then searched Paul Flores' dorm 16 days after her disappearance, although students had moved out and the dorms had been professionally cleaned already. 9 days later, on the 19th of June, Flores is interviewed by investigators once again at the Arroyo Grande Police Department. In this interview, Flores admits that he lied about how he got his black eye. He now claims he didn't get it from a baseball game, but rather from working on his truck.
Because I didn't think it would matter.
On June 19th, investigators bring Flores in for further questioning and confront him about his injuries.
How do we know that everything that you've told us so far isn't really the truth? How do we know now that you lied for us?
Well, that wasn't important, though.
Sure it is. That's important.
Once investigators began to close in on him, he abruptly walks out of the interview and refuses to answer any further questions. Massive searches for Kristen continue with over 400 volunteers searching the campus, landfills, and cadaver dogs are now brought in to find clues. 4 dogs independently and solely react to Paul Flores' dorm room, especially his strip mattress at Santa Lucia Hall. Investigators then searched his home and found no leads to Kristen's whereabouts. However, the Smarts are very adamant that Paul Flores had something to do with Kristen's disappearance. In the eyes of the law enforcement, Paul is their only suspect, but without any evidence, it becomes difficult to convict him. On August 12, 1998, 2 years after Kristen went missing, Governor Wilson signs Kristen's Smart Campus Safety Act of 1998 into law, which requires universities to involve local police the second a student is missing. But over the next 2 decades, multiple searches would be conducted at the Flores residences, and new billboards would be put in place, but to no avail. In September of 2019, a podcast called Your Own Backyard was created by Chris Lambert to bring renewed interest in Kristen Smart's disappearance. However, on February 5th of 2020, the police would serve yet another search warrant for all of the homes of the Flores family. This time, after 25 years, they would obtain evidence that completely turned the direction of this case.
We're beginning here today because this is where it all began on the campus of Cal Poly University. On May 25th, 1996, this was the last place that Kristen Smart was seen alive. It has been 24, almost 25 years since Kristen went missing. 24 years without a resolution until today. I'm here this afternoon to announce the arrest of Paul Flores for the murder of Kristen Smart and the arrest of his father, Ruben Flores, as an accessory to the murder. In February of 2020, detectives served search warrants at the home of Paul Flores, as well as his sister, mother, and father, all simultaneously last year. Physical evidence recovered during these searches led to the service of additional search warrant at Paul Flores' residence in April of last year. During the search warrant, detectives recovered evidence related to the murder of Kristen Smart. In March of this year, detectives served another search warrant in Arroyo Grande at the home of Ruben Flores, the father of Paul Flores. Additional evidence related to the Smart investigation was discovered at that time. So as a result of this evidence, a San Luis Obispo Superior Court judge signed 2 arrest warrants and 2 additional search warrants. At approximately 07:30 this morning, today, both were arrested simultaneously with a team down in San Pedro, California, and a team in Arroyo Grande, California. And they arrested Paul Flores and his father, Ruben. Paul was arrested for charge of murder with 0 bail, meaning he is unable to bail, and Ruben Flores was arrested as an accessory to murder with a bail of $250,000. We are still currently in the process of executing those search warrants. Could be there for the remainder of the day or even into tomorrow, depending on what they find. Now, I understand that a lot of people want to know what we found in the detail, and that's kind of the question that people continuously ask us and ask me is, what exactly did you find and what exactly do they have that has led to this? Well, I can tell you, unfortunately, the search warrants were sealed, which means I cannot discuss what evidence was found, and probably more importantly is that we have a due process right now, and everybody here is allowed that due process right. That means it has to go to court. There has to be a trial of 12 people and decide his guilt or innocence. So discussing specific items of evidence is just not appropriate at this point. I will say this, and this is probably a question that I will answer at this point, that we have not recovered Kristen. We will continue to focus on finding her remains regardless of any court action. So we will continue the process of finding out where Kristen is.
Later in July 2021, Details of the prosecution's records against Paul and Ruben Flores became unsealed, and frightening information was released to the public. Among the revelations were two things. Traces of human blood and fibers, possibly from clothing, were found in samples taken from soil under the back deck of Ruben Flores' home. An archaeologist concluded there was likely a body buried in that soil, removed, and the hole refilled. They also found numerous fetishized rape fantasy porn videos and Google searches on his computer. To add to the horror, they found 2 date rape drugs and homemade videos allegedly taken by Flores that show him sexually assaulting unconscious or incapacitated women, some of whom are seen with ball gags in their mouth. 29 women have also accused Paul of a host of sexual misconduct incidents dating back to his high school days. The offenses range from being generally creepy and aggressive to outright rape. Most incidents involving sexual assault include allegations by women that Flores drugged them at LA area bars. Paul Flores was also the subject of 2 ongoing sexual assault investigations by the Los Angeles Police Department. He had also been linked to a 2007 rape investigated by the Redondo Police Department. Dozens of women are said to attest to Flores' long-standing sexually predatory behavior at his upcoming trial. By virtue of various accounts and eyewitnesses, I'm about to tell you what is believed to have happened to Kristen Smart on that night of May 24th, 1996. Paul Flores was known among the students to be a little weird, and his roommate described him to be an asshole while drunk. Cheryl Anderson, one of the students walking Kristen that night, said his nickname around campus was Chester the Molester due to his suspicious behavior with women. One of Kristen's friends stated that they noticed Paul lurking around her residence months prior to the party and at some points visited her dorm, but Kristen was described to be too kind of a person to tell Paul she was not interested. While Kristen attended the party, it is alleged that Paul was hitting on her to a point where another woman told Kristen to, and I quote, "Stay away from that guy." Students at the party claimed to have witnessed Paul being outwardly aggressive towards female attendees. Tim Davis, the student who hosted the party, reported seeing Paul talking to Kristen at the bar, and at one point the two fell to the floor together, though it was unclear why. A female attendee reported seeing Paul pull Kristen into a kiss, and she shoved him off. As we know, Kristen passed out on the neighbor's yard, and Tim Davis said Paul was lurking by the side gate. Once Tim Davis got her up on her feet again, him and Cheryl Anderson began walking an inebriated Kristen back to her dorm before Paul Flores offered to join them. Once Tim and Cheryl parted from Kristen, Paul Flores was left alone to walk Kristen Smart safely back to her dorm. At some point, an Australian exchange student at Cal Poly was bicycling around campus and described swiftly seeing a male and female engaged in an unfriendly altercation in a common space in one of the halls that night. They were facing each other with their arms in the air and grabbing each other's hands, but the student continued to cycle past, and it was behind him. A witness also alleged that Susan Flores, Paul's mother, noticed Ruben Flores receive a phone call in the middle of the night, at which point Ruben left the home in a hurry, leaving Susan looking puzzled. The following day, Paul's friends noticed his black eye, and he tells them 2 different stories. He told one that he doesn't know what happened and he just woke up with it, and another that he got it while at a baseball game. In addition to investigators talking to Paul and finding multiple inconsistencies in his statements, already painting him as extremely suspicious. Paul Flores is accused of raping or attempting to rape Kristen Smart in his dorm before killing her. It is also suggested that Paul could have removed Smart's body from his dorm without it being noticed, hence the cadaver dogs reacting to his mattress and room. It is also believed that Paul buried her at his father Ruben's home, and her remains have recently been moved. Both Paul and Ruben have pleaded not guilty to their charges. The preliminary hearing took place on August 2nd to September 22nd. Their trial is set to begin on April 25th, 2022, where more information and evidence will be released. After 25 long years, Kristen Smart's case is finally coming to a close and close to justice. Thank you for watching.